Would you like to know how to protect your legacy to make sure that all of your hard-earned wealth that you're creating during your lifetime can pass on to your beneficiaries? Then in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that by preserving your wealth with the use of a living trust. All right, let's get started. Okay, so what are the 6 reasons why you should be using a living trust to protect your legacy? Well, the first reason that I recommend people use this is for streamlined asset transfers. Here's what a living trust does. It allows assets to be transferred to your beneficiaries without the need for probate, which, if you're not aware of this, this can be a lengthy and expensive process to go through. Many probates can take upwards of 9 months to 4 or 5 years and can cost anywhere between $10,000 to $100,000 in order to transfer on assets to beneficiaries depending on the size of your estate. With a living trust, you can avoid probate completely. It ensures that your beneficiaries gain access to your wealth much sooner and in the way in which you've determined you want them to receive these funds. I have met with countless individuals over my career, and they've imparted stories where they've inherited funds and they had to go through the probate process, and those assets were tied up in probate and they didn't have access to much needed monies to help support themselves or their families, or businesses experienced a serious disruption because the family couldn't step in and take over control to keep that plan moving or business moving. So these are some of the problems that come up when you do not have a streamlined asset transfer built into your estate plan. That only comes from having a living trust. Okay, now what is the second reason why you want this type of estate plan? Preserving wealth. All right, by avoiding the probate process, your estate may also avoid some of the legal fees and taxes that can diminish the value of an estate. You see, here's the thing. When you go through the probate process, as I stated earlier, it costs money. So that's money that's coming out of your estate that could be going to your heirs, and instead it's going to line the pockets of an attorney to handle a process they never had needed to be involved with. The other issue that can come up is state or federal estate taxes. So one of the problems with having an estate plan that's a simple will is that they don't account for taxation. There are methods we can use when we create a living trust that ensures that you're going to pay, or your beneficiaries will pay, the least amount of tax as possible. Why spend your entire life to build up this estate that you're working on right now, only to have the state or the federal government come in and take a huge chunk out of your wealth that should be rightfully going to your heirs? Huge problem. You can preserve your wealth when you set up a living trust. All right, now the third reason why is protection from creditors, and this is huge. So let's just think on this. You pass away and you leave your son or your daughter your entire estate, but they happen to be going through a divorce at the time of your passing, or worse yet, they're being sued over a contract claim, or maybe it was a vehicle accident. Do you know that if you haven't set it up the right way, those assets that they inherit could now be subject to that ex-spouse's claim against your child, or to those creditors that are lurking out there? Well, when you set up your estate plan the proper way and you use a living trust, you have built-in asset protection for your beneficiaries. So any debts that they're facing at the time you're passing, or any future debts, the assets that you leave to them can be protected from their creditors. It is the way to ensure that your wealth will not be wasted on ex-spouses or creditors of your beneficiaries after you're no longer here. Okay, now the fourth benefit of using this type of estate plan is controlled distribution. A living trust allows you to dictate the terms of the distribution, ensuring that your assets are dispersed according to your wishes. For example, you might specify in your estate plan that your child can only access their inheritance at age 45 or 60, whatever it is. Or you could spell it out that they need to obtain a college education before they're going to be entitled to any funds. You see, this is the beauty about having a living trust in for your estate plan, is that you can lay out all of your desires in there for your future beneficiaries or your existing beneficiaries as to what you hope they achieve in life, and you can monetize that by saying, if you do certain things, or incentivize it. If you do certain things, then you're going to receive a certain benefit. I remember putting together my estate plan, one of the things that I wanted to encourage was a hard work ethic. So built into my estate plan, it states that you have to go out and you generate money, then you're going to receive distributions based upon the amount of income you bring in. If you're not going to bring in any income because you want to sit back and play video games all day long, or maybe your aspirations is to work in a candle factory, well, then I am not going to reward that type of behavior. So with a living trust, you can control the distributions to ensure that you're incentivizing the behaviors that you think are important and passing along your values to your current generation, to the generations that will come behind them. Okay, now the fifth benefit of this is protection in case of incapacity. If an heir becomes incapacitated, the trustee can manage the assets in the trust for the benefit of your beneficiary. And this can be extremely beneficial if you have any beneficiaries that may need long-term care and financial stability. It's not, think about what could possibly happen during your lifetime. Maybe one of your beneficiaries is injured in a car accident or a boating accident, and now they can no longer care for themselves. Well, you can specify in your estate plan that should a beneficiary be in that type of situation, that the funds now will be held for their benefit. The benefit to you is it prevents the federal government or the state from coming in and taking all those assets to reimburse themselves for the support and the care that they've been providing to that beneficiary. So protection in case of incapacity is a very compelling benefit, reason why we want to set up a living trust. Now, the sixth and final reason that we want to set up a living trust for our estate plan is going to be privacy. I've talked about probate, and probate is a public process. That means that when you go through the probate process, you're going to submit your estate plan, your will, to the court, and that's going to be made publicly available to anyone who wants to search those records. A living trust is a private transfer of assets. There is no probate process that you have to go through. Therefore, there's no information that is made publicly available that someone can search. So if your beneficiaries are inheriting assets and there's a creditor out there that's been looking around wondering, hey, do I want to sue this person? They're never going to be able to discover that you've passed away and left them an inheritance, because that'll never hit the public record. So privacy is a huge benefit when it comes to considering your estate planning. All right, guys, if you like this video, be sure to smash the like button. And if you want to get updates when I post new content, also subscribe to my channel right now. This is your opportunity to stay on top of all the latest when it comes to asset protection, estate planning, and taxation, as it has to do with real estate investors, small business owners, or anyone that has assets that they wish to protect. Take care.